to denote that we are actually starting now. Okay, so yesterday we you were in the middle of watching a VOD and went live. Oh no, that's kind of funny though. Okay, so yesterday we left off with not being able to get it working properly on Windows because we need to have the environment variable set. And so that I looked a little bit into it yesterday and I found an article. Spoiler alert. Yeah, I'm so sorry. And so I found this Microsoft document that, I mean, one would trust Microsoft documents on how to set the environment variables, right? And so they go through this entire thing about like how to set the environments, deleting them, do all that stuff. And then they say, oh, all of these commands are not persistent at all. To make them persistent, we're gonna have to do something. And then I saw the word registry, and then I just threw up my hands and said, okay, I would rather just do this tomorrow. I don't feel like playing with the registry today. So today we get to play with the registry a little bit. Obviously there's going to be a lot of sort of break screens as I have to hide my screen or show it. Ooh, Starfire, ooh. I'll just call you Starfire. But good morning, welcome to the stream. Okay, so to make a persistent change to an environment variable, use System in Control Panel, Advanced tab, or the Advanced System Settings item to store the change in the registry. So we need to change like the permanent. It sounds like permanent environment variables need to be stored in the registry, which I really can't. I don't know what to think about that. So System in Control Panel. Is that a Windows 10 thing? I remember having to do some dev work on Windows 7 and setting variables was under System Panel or something. Maybe that's what it is too. This is Windows 10 that I'm on. If I come over and show you what I'm doing. Okay. So use System. Okay, so System in Control Panel, Advanced tab. I'm not seeing an Advanced tab here. Or the Advanced System Settings item. Wait, is that a completely different item? No. Okay, can I find advanced? You're trying to make a chat bot for your Twitch channel? Awesome. What technology are you using? I'm using Rust for my backend, so that if you don't know Rust, my backend would probably not be the best of choices. Let's see. Okay, so changing environment variables. So maybe if we come here, what if I just type in edit the system environment variables, edit environment variables for your account. Okay. I'm okay with just doing them for my account. Also, I clicked on that and nothing happened. Okay, try it again. Click. That didn't do anything. Did it like... Oh. Okay. I don't know what's in there, so I'm gonna switch back to Linux Dev just in case. So it opened up in a window underneath everything just to make it difficult. Okay, so app data has some path stuff. Doesn't look. Looks like it has some things in here. There's a path for various scripts. I don't think necessarily any of this is security stuff. Is any way to get a list with commands to add, or you need to make it. So if you're making your own chatbot from scratch, you're gonna have to create your own commands. I actually have a list here of some example commands that I created. So in Rust, so ignore the code in general. Also, Starfire, I didn't ask how familiar are you with coding? Oh, it's not WebSocket. It is Chatbot. Okay, so if we just look at the general layout of this, what's happening is that we're getting in a message. We're getting in a message, and we have access to it right here, and I'm printing it to the console. So I can now say, okay, if the message contains bang ping, then I want to send back to IRC the word pong. It's all new for you. Okay, so basically I had to write all this code to get this to work in Rust. There's other languages that this will be extremely simple for. If you're super new to this, I actually don't know what. Well, okay, the next question is, do you want to learn coding? Like, is that your goal? Is that your goal in the end to create a chatbot in order to learn coding, or you just want to make a chatbot and you don't really care about also learning development? Because I know that there's those chatbots, like there's Nightbot and the other ones that you can customize by adding in commands yourself, but there's no like coding necessarily involved in that. Okay, so in the meantime, switch back to here. Okay, so when you change the environment variables in PowerShell, the change only affects the current. Okay, so I want to come in. Let's switch back. I need to create keywords for this. So let's try new environment variable. This environment variable name. Well, I want a chatbot, but you can learn also. My suggestion would be JavaScript with Node.js. There's a few different chatbot npm modules that are very easy to set up. I think I did one like a long time ago with one of those, and it was super easy. Super easy is relative term because I already knew how to program in JavaScript and Node.js, so I didn't have to learn two things. But it does a lot of the work for you. Okay, so variable name. What are we gonna call this? I need to remember what I was expecting to call it. It's Twitch_OAuth. Twitch_OAuth. And variable name. So I'm not gonna put the actual OAuth value in right now. I'm gonna say ABCD. Let's just do that. Say okay. And okay. Now, how do I... One question is, does this take effect? Oh, that's the overlay. I want this one. Does this take effect right away? Like, do we have, like, just, will this work now? I'm not really sure. How do I... Okay, there is a way to print out the value over here. It's Windows, who the hell knows? Okay, so I want to display an environment variables. You can use the commandlets that contain the item noun to display and change the values of environment variables. Because environment variables do not have child items, the output of get item and get child item is the same. When you refer to an environment variable, type the env drive name followed by the name of the variable. For example, to display the value of computer name environment variable, type get child item env computer name. Oh my gosh. Okay, so get child item. Is this big enough, by the way? I'm not actually sure how to make it bigger, but env colon twitch OAuth. Cannot find because it doesn't exist. Okay, but there's a fairly good chance that it doesn't exist because that was open beforehand. So if I create a new one, so a new PowerShell window, and I run the same command, cannot find path twitch OAuth because it does not exist. Okay. To display the value of all environment variables, type get child item env colon. Okay, let's just in case transition time. And we're just going to type the env colon. Ah, there it is. Maybe put 1, 2, 3 in a variable just to make sure that's not the error. Well, okay, this is listing all of these. So like there's computer name, for example. There's my home path. The operating systems that I'm on. Twitch OAuth is right there. So I see it. Twitch OAuth is there. So get child item env colon and then the name of it. Maybe I misspelled it. I did. Yep, I totally did. Okay, let's try this again. Switching back over. All right, so what I had forgotten the T in the Twitch. But if I do this, get child item env Twitch OAuth, there it is. Twitch OAuth is value ABCD for here. So perfect. Now all I need to do is find my code again. So I want to come up to you. Let's go Twitch chatbot OAuth token. So I remember in here somewhere there's a way to get a token really fast. There's an application that somebody created, and I can never remember where it is. Okay, so I don't think it's gonna be listed on here. Getting tokens OAuth. There's something like, if you're feeling lazy and you don't feel like doing that, like writing all the, how did I, okay. Well, that's probably fine. Go to this app and they'll just give you the token. So I want to do that. It's twitchapps.com TMI. Okay, that's what it is. So before I go to there, we are not going to display that. All right, so twitchapps.com/TMI. Connect with Twitch. hold on, go back. That's not telling me what. Okay, I need to also make sure I log out of Twitch because I think it's using my normal account, and I need to make sure it logs in through my. Yeah, that's through Berserker. So we'll log out, and no sound. Okay, so we need Berserker. What? That's what incognito is for. Oh, I guess I could do that. Yeah, that's a good point. Well, too late. I already logged out. Nope. We're not going to talk about that today. I can't remember the command for create, like the new private. They call it private windows in Firefox. Okay, so private, we want to go to twitchapps.com/TMI. Connect with Twitch. Log in, perfect. We also I now need to get access to my password here. Right, Berserker_bot. So and yep, you're still looking at Linux. All right, got myself a token. Copy that. Environment variables, add them from my account. Oh, this time it just opens up right there. I want to paste this in. Okay, okay. How fast does this get it? If I just do up arrow. No, okay, so it does need to be a brand new window. Okay, so you get closed. Miguel, good morning. We're definitely closing you, so you can't see that token anymore. Twitch. Close you. All right, and that's just that one up. So, Windows PowerShell up and running. Let's cd into the downloads. Cd into the Rusty Chatbot server. And let's then run the Rusty Chatbot server.exe. No error message. Oh, I forgot to switch you back over. So Rusty Chatbot server is running. Let's try one of our commands, or just any message also should print out, I believe, because I left all those in. Although did that wave not come in? Yeah. That's a did I forget to put? Okay, let's try a ping. Ping. No response. So I'm not seeing anything here that's like asking for permission to like send to have network out. So ping is not working. That's That's not doing its thing. Oh, hey, that's a little bit annoying. Okay, so what can I do? We have, well, let's Control C this. Let's come back to Linux and make sure that the one we have here is working. If you print out anything, then we should see the whole connection to Twitch, so something is not firing at all. In the chat bot, I am print lining the message. So every message that's coming in through the IRC, so the IRC is not working. The IRC is not working, and we have no idea if the WebSocket's working either. Because this one would be sending out those messages. Okay, let's try this. We'll come to here and we'll just do cargo run. Are you sending the identify command? It should. So finished development unoptimized plus debug info. So it's running now. The next message should be printed out. Not attempting to connect at all. That's a good. Here's the identify command. Wasn't this working for us yesterday? What did I do? All right, so we have I put an expect instead of a unwrap. But that shouldn't matter. It should still be able to get that. And last time it was crashing because the variable didn't exist on the Windows side. So now it's able to get that environment variable, and it should be connecting in. So what's happening to it? Okay, so it's coming through here. IRC client for each incoming. So this is not firing, it sounds like. Yeah, so that's running. This is the Rusty chatbot server, which is where we are. We're in master and master. Okay, so I could git checkout copy just in case. Cargo run. So I remember. Oh, is it these warnings? So if we have that warning, hey, when I send a message, if I do a ping, no, okay, so that's this was working in this branch, and then I brought it over to master to compile. So what happened? I'm actually kind of confused about this. Like it doesn't feel like it's making any sense to me, because this exactly as it was working yesterday. I know, this is so weird and strange and slightly upsetting. Okay, so we have our chatbot. It's not because we're running the identify command to connect in. By rerunning the all right, I want to try. I'm gonna switch over to the quick break screen so that I can because I want to see whether or not the OAuth token that I just got did it read? Oh, it probably regenerated a new one for me. So I need to try to regenerate another one for this computer. Okay, hold on. I'm gonna switch to a quick break screen. Or rather, you could just look at my. Just look at this side, the beautiful Windows dev side. While I go over here and check my my Twitch app. So, create a new private window. We aren't seeing a password denied. Well, so the problem that we've noticed is that the IRC library doesn't really propagate any errors up. Like all the results are just, you know, open and close parentheses. There's no errors whatsoever, which is a little bit upsetting. But maybe this was it. So I want to go to twitchapps.com/TMI. That would come from IRC since we are printing out everything, including the connection. Well, yeah, I would think so, but maybe something else is wrong. Username is Zerkerbot. Nope. Sure, yeah, that might be good. Might be a good test. Okay, so copy that from there. The symptom of chatbot login issues is normally being able to read messages and commands, but not output. Not out, so like no output? Like that's one of the possible, like, so output would not be displayed if there's a problem. Okay, yeah, so there's a new Twitch token for myself. Because guests can read chat, but not post. Okay, let's close that window. Save you. Or go run again. Transition back here. You just tested your theory and you're correct. Okay, so we're running on here. And nothing. So, oh wait, I can't run in the same window. I have to restart. I'm just gonna have to close this window and reopen a terminal, because if I'm gonna change my .zshrc, I have to also restart the window. Okay, cd define rusty chatbot server, cargo run. Let's try a ping now. No. No, you didn't do it. They didn't, like, Twitch didn't change anything, did they? Everything was working just fine. Okay, let's go take a look at, if I remember correctly, we had a playground that had the IRC stuff working without the WebSocket stuff. I guess it could be the WebSockets are not initializing properly. Stacking, you have an image. Oh, can I? So you have cargo run, Twitch notice, login authentication failed. So it should be getting that, but for some reason it isn't. You know, let's try the Twitch chatbot that has nothing in it. So if we come out of here, cd into playgrounds and into Twitch chat and cargo run here. So you aren't hitting the connect to Twitch at all. Okay. Let's try a hello. Okay, so the IRC stuff should be working because it's working here. So that means it's the WebSocket part that's not working now. That's annoying. So I'm gonna go ahead and quit out of that. Let's come back to here. So the WebSockets. So let's trace. Let's see what's happening here. In fact, let's run a cargo test. Let's make sure that's still running. So cargo test. Let's also go back to this unused imports and close code and connect unused variable server. This is fine. I think this is fine. All the tests are passing, and it's just these errors. If we head back to here, well, okay, so let's also start the server. So cargo run. Let's see if we can launch that local index.html file. Okay, so it is getting the hello from server, so the WebSocket is running now. So that's a good sign. This is the WebSockets part. If we do a ping now. Oh my gosh, okay. This is interesting. So if there are no active connections to the WebSocket server, it doesn't continue running. It's in a thread. It shouldn't be blocking. But so it's sitting there. Okay. Let's see if we can debug this. So we start with main. we start with main. We bring our config. We bring our environment variables in. Yeah, debugging the thing RPL book doesn't cover. Danny, also, if you have any insights, or if any of you have any insights, I'd love to have help with this one. This is going to be an interesting debug here. Okay, so Twitch token, we bring in all this stuff, more like debugging the thing that Rust sucks at. So we have our nickname, our channel name, website address. This is all fine. We have our config new. We know that this is working because the WebSocket IP address is working. The only proper debugger that I know of is CLion. If we can't find it really quickly, maybe we'll try that out today. Rusty chatbot server run. So that's going to be in library. So Rusty chatbot server. We go into run here. We pass it the config. We get the transactions. WebSocket run. You can debug REST code. You just have to get familiar with GDP, CLion, or Visual Studio. Anything that does C code should work. Oh, interesting. WebSocket run. So we call WebSocket run tx config website. Okay, so because this is synchronous, we don't need this line anymore. Dat Sparrow, hello, welcome to the stream. Because this is synchronous, chatbot run obviously won't start until WebSocket finishes. Let's put a print line in here. Finished setting up WebSocket. Okay, so if we don't get this print line, that means that it's not finishing this until something connects to the WebSocket. So let's try that. Cargo run. Finish setting up WebSocket. Okay, so it is indeed getting to this point. So WebSockets are fine then, or at least we think it's fine. The problem is in the chatbot run function maybe. So let's head over to chatbot. So in chatbot run, we do let WebSocket equals rx rec v unwrap. Is this synchronous? I bet this is synchronous. So it knows it's going to happen because there is a sending in the code. So it's not going to crash on us because there's a sender. But if we come to main and we go to, no, not main. We go to chatbot. Not chatbot, WebSocket. Right here. txsend WebSocket unwrap. That happens when so we listen IP address move out. This is just listening, but maybe this doesn't get configured until later. Maybe this function doesn't get executed until after it sends the txsend once we have, and it's not even just a message to send, it's a computer, a socket to send to. Okay. What if I, instead of tx WebSocket, so we're creating a WebSocket right here. TXSN must be a thread, but I think you're right. This is because the other one is saying wait until it's available. It's not available until a client comes in and connects to it. So what if I wanted? Okay. Is there another thing that I can do, and how can I test that? I vaguely remember in WebSocket that there's a broadcast option, and so it's not sending to one thing, it's sending to however many you want. Okay, so if we have that, function run, we have server equals thread spawn move. Does that explain why it does work in the other cases? I have no idea how this stuff works. Yes, I believe this does. So here's what's happening. The entire server runs, and we get, so we move through all this code executes. It moves into run. So we go into lib, we hit run. It runs, we get the TXRX, we run all the WebSockets. In WebSocket, all of this code runs, but notice that these are closures here. So what we're doing is we're passing in a closure to thread spawn. Now that starts executing right away, but inside of that we have this listen function, and we pass it this closure. This closure is only going to execute as soon as a client connects with a WebSocket. So when it connects with a WebSocket, only then does this code fire. And this code includes this tx send. But the reason we're doing that is because we need this out. This out only happens, well, it's passed in at this point in time. So this is a little bit annoying here. So what I want to see is if there's like a broadcast or something else that we can do where we don't have to wait. We can just send to everybody regardless if anybody's listening. So let's come up, we'll go to creates.io, WebSocket, documentation. Is there a broadcast? It's just self.send broadcast. Send a message to the endpoints of all connections. So WS sender broadcast still takes in self, so we need access to that. Be careful with this method, as it does not discriminate between client and server connections. If your WebSocket is only functioning as a server, then usage is simple. This method will send a copy of the message to each connected client. However, if you have a WebSocket that is listening for connections and is also connected to another okay, so I don't need to care about this. We have a very simple WebSocket server. So broadcast, is there an example of this? So function broadcast, it takes in self, so it's a dot on the instance of the sender. This is still the same problem. You can just replace the self.send.send, but this is the same problem here that we're running into. So we have this struct in WebSocket. We have WebSocket here and self.out.send, and you're saying like self.send.send. But I don't think that will help us, because this WebSocket is requiring this. So we need an instance. Forgot you renamed send to out. Yeah. We need an instance of sender. Okay. Can I just create a new sender and not care about it? So we have this struct server out is a sender. Here's the sender. Okay. So is there a new function? The only way around this might be biting a bullet and learning the old method of async in Rust. Oh, the future stuff. This method tests for self and other values to be equal and is used by this. That's one option. The other option is maybe I could throw it into a function, and I can't think of a way of top. Okay, so we need to basically unblock. So Rust, the books didn't have any kind of code. I can't do futures right now, right? That's only a nightly thing, so I have to just do async await. Okay, so what's the catch? Threads. Rust has a strong foundation for async programming with the futures and Tokyo crates. Oh, this is a full book. Async and Rust, a book. Oh, that's fun. But there is this. That's the reason why everybody is using Tokyo, because it's runtime for reliable, asynchronous, and slim applications. Razarak, good morning. Welcome to the stream. Hello. A runtime for writing reliable, asynchronous, and slim applications with a Rust programming language. Okay, so this is doing. It's 15:30. So what? 3:50 p.m. Awesome. Where is that? Is that must be on the other side of the world? Is that like Australia, China? That area? Sweden? That Sparrow, it's 2:50 there. Croatia. Oh, well, hello from Croatia. Or UK. Awesome. Okay, so we got these servers. I don't know. This feels like it might be too much for me. Like too much for my use case. I just want a really simple async thing. So background. Asynchrony. Taming async with tasks. Well, okay, there might be one thing we can do to sort of like get around it in a really weird, crappy way. We come to the chatbot. So this is blocking us, right? WebSocket recv. If I come into here, I could. Here's where we need it. WebSocket send. What I could do is I can create a struct, and it could do a quick loop through whatever's given to us in recv, and then it will send it out. We're also getting really close to potentially just creating a threading system where the thread will grab the WebSocket, and then the thread could send that way. And then all we need to do then is continue to pass in the messages to send. I don't know if I'm getting in over my head with this. This is the first idea that's coming to my mind to actually might work, but that might be way crazy. Even with the threading system, I would still need that message, yes. So imagine here. Imagine if let's say I didn't, before we do anything, let's actually go back. I don't want to save. I don't want to save anything here. I want to switch back to master. So git checkout master. Okay. Cargo run. I just want to make sure everything is running the way I want it to. There shouldn't be any file changes, right? Finish setting up finish setting up WebSocket. That thing is in there. Hold on. Libsource. Chatbot run, that got changed. And with main. Okay, so these should be fine. I don't actually need. I don't need you at all. Okay. So, added message to help debug when missing token. All right, let's try this again. Cargo run. If I come here, hit refresh, and establish a connection, I should probably wait for it to finish compiling. Hello from the server. If we then do a ping, we get a pong. Okay, perfect. So everything is working right now. Let's go ahead and git checkout -b. So create a new branch, and that way, if we totally screw this up, we can always come back to this. And this is going to be async for WebSocket. Okay, here we are. We're in async for WebSocket. We can now do what we want. Sorry, Danny, I just killed everything. So it's not going to respond to you. Okay, so if we were to come in, Smiley Guy, hello, good morning. Danny here, responding to your own command. So in WebSockets, no, in Chatbot, we need access. Here's our problem. We're waiting right here. So if we had a queue if we had a queuing system, or rather, maybe not a queuing system, self fist bump. Or maybe we coded the bot to not answer Danny. that would be mean to just like one off. It randomly chooses one person. Is like, you will never be answer to again. Or maybe that's it. I have a fully working bot. I have blacklisted all of you because I don't want to have to answer you. Okay, so if we don't have this WebSocket code right there, if we come down and we also don't do the send necessarily right here, what we need to do is create a thread. It will be blocked until a WebSocket connects. This doesn't actually seem to help at all. It's still not going. Well, we could have these commands. Okay, right, because we don't care about sending these out. If the else, this only should happen when there is a WebSocket. Otherwise, the commands should all work whenever I want to. So I need to, at this point in time, spin up a thread, and then we need to pass messages in. And so we can say the first message that will come in will be the WebSocket itself. All of the messages after that will be the messages to send through the WebSocket. Is this just insane? I can't tell if this is too insane for me. Okay, so if we had a struct, and we name this send to WebSocket, and we're gonna store the WebSocket, and its type is gonna be WebSocket, and is that gonna be it? Because we can also have the TX in here. We're gonna want another instance of TX. My coffee hasn't kicked in enough for that much level of inception. Okay, so we need a TX and RX also. We gave ownership of TX to this WebSocket, which means we need to clone it. Because we're gonna have RX is being passed in to this chatbot here. So RX is how we receive information in a socket, and TX is how we transmit from a WebSocket. So we're gonna need to, from here down here, we'll do something like this. We'll have an instance, so like send to WebSocket dot send. Maybe I'll just call it the wrapper. So WebSocket wrapper WebSocket wrapper dot send, and it's going to be the response. So if I do this, so WebSocket wrapper dot send response, then send to WebSocket will be, so we'll rename this to be WebSocket wrapper. So for this WebSocket wrapper, it's going to take in the WebSocket that we're going to get in from the Rx recv unwrap. When we create the new instance of it, it will it'll just spawn a thread. But the first thing that thread is going to do is just Rx recv this unwrap. Our send is then going to take in the tx. So we need to have a tx of I never remember what type this is, so I'm just gonna say string, and then it will actually, no, we have this right here, MPSC receiver, so it's gonna be MPSC. It's not a receiver, it's a sender. And what are we getting here? WebSocket. But we're just going to transmit strings with this one. We need a new TX, don't we? Or can I say that we're going to have a sender that takes in string? So that way, when we do this WebSocket wrapper send, it's going to use TX to send something. In here, when we grab it, we're just grabbing TX and RX from MPSC channel. So I think we have to create a new channel, don't we? And this channel will have to pass into the thread. This might not be quite as bad if we rename it properly. So this is just a tuple, so I can rename these to be whatever I want. But okay, so WebSocket, we pass into there, chatbot, we get the RX, and it's going to be the last thing. In chatbot, in run, we get RX is this. I'm going to rename this to WebSocket RX. Which means in here, okay, so we're going to get the WebSocket RX, which is going to be type WebSocket. We're also going to want another transmit and receiver, because these are going to be the actual messages from the chatbot. So that will come in here. We can say chatbot RX, because it's not going to worry about it's not going to worry about transmitting. It's just receiving these so it can send it on through WebSocket. So chatbot RX is going to be the MPSC. This is receiver WebSocket. This is also receiver. And this is going to be a string. So we have to deal with this because they're different, and I don't have to deal with generics for this. This will make it nice and simple for us to see what it's doing. Do I have to keep the thread? Do I have to like hold on to the thread? I don't think I need to. So when I create a new instance of WebSocket wrapper, it's going to create the thread right there. So I don't need to hold the function or anything else. I'll write that into the new instance here. So our chatbox RX MPS. Okay, so before we run any of these closures, which are going to be run every single time that this sets up, we're going to want to, in here, initialize and create a new one. So what that is going to look like is WebSocket wrapper, want a let in front of this. Let WebSocket wrapper equals WebSocket wrapper new, and we need to pass in WebSocket. Okay, so it's going to hold in the WebSocket, but it's going to create that WebSocket won't be held in here. That's going to be held inside of the thread. This is just to create the thread, really, and to send messages to it. So this won't work for us. WebSocket. Okay, so we don't need that. We just need to hold in the RXs temporarily. Do I even need, like, look into this? I'm not even sure we need a structure for this. We may just need a function that generates the thread for us. And it's going to generate the thread for us, and it's going to return that RX for us, or the TX. Okay. I don't need a struct at all. It's going to be, it's really going to be like a tx.send. So let's move that for right this second. This is going to go inside of the thread. So in reality, all we're really going to do is spawn a thread that's going to run this stuff for us. So I don't want to do this inside of the run function. Let's just call that, and we'll call spawn chatbot send thread. WebSocket sending thread. I don't know what to name this, so it's really horrible. And we can write an expect here and say WebSockets. Oh, I'm not getting any of my my autocomplete because we need to write it first in order to run this. So we're going to, first things first, spawn thread that will get the WebSocket and check for new messages, and then send them to the client. Okay, that's going to be right here. So function, this is going to be spawn WebSocket sender. Thread. What is this going to take in? This is going to take in an RX for this WebSocket RX. So we can call this WebSocket RX. And what type is that? That's an MPSC receiver WebSocket. So MPSC receiver WebSocket. But we also need to take in another RX. So this is going to be the chat RX. Call this chatbot RX, and is going to be an MPSC receiver that's just strings. I don't think we need to return anything here, because all we're going to do is, if we have these two things, we're going to spawn the thread. So we need to bring in thread. So use standard thread. Then down here we can say thread spawn. So wrap code in thread spawn. So then we have this. We're going to move in whatever we're going to use in here, which is going to be both of these. So the WebSocket RS and the chatbot RX. Okay, so the first thing that we need to do is this: get the WebSocket out of recv. So this is let WebSocket. Can't you bring in the full standard MPSC receiver so you don't have MPSC receiver as a type in the function? It looks ugly. I can, yeah. So I can do this. I think receiver is also on WebSocket, colon. Like, oh, I think there's a different receiver though. I can do this. So I can just do receiver for that and then bring in MPSC receiver like that. That works. Thread spawn, we're going to move that WebSocket equals, it's going to be the WebSocket RX dot recv dot expect, and our message is going to be unable to get WebSocket from the RX. Okay, so that's this line now can be removed. So now we have access to the WebSocket itself. And really all that WebSocket is this structure, which means that we now have send that can take a string. Now, the other thing in here is that we need to have this chatbot RX receiver. So we need to loop through. So here we can have an infinite loop. And we'll loop through the chatbot RX receiver. So for message in chatbot RX, because it implements an iterator, now we have the string from this. We can now WebSocket dot send the message. What does this return? WebSocket send unwraps right here. So I don't have to do anything here. Okay, so WebSocket.send the message right here. It will go through any of these chats that we get, and then as soon as it runs out of the messages that are in the queue, essentially, it will loop through and try again. We can sleep this to make sure it's just not constantly going. So we can either use thread sleep, we could just use thread sleep. We need duration. So use standard time duration. Then we can say thread sleep duration from milliseconds. Okay, what it was. Like we can now set how long we can wait here. We're allowed to do 100 messages every second. Don't forget, thread sleep spawns the timer on a new thread. I think that isn't a problem. Like this will be 3 threads total. I think we have plenty of that on this computer. Because essentially it's what, gonna go into thread sleep and then join it together, so it just waits for here. I just want to make sure this isn't like running completely and allows this thread to sleep sometimes. So thread sleep duration from millis, we can say we can give it any number. So 100 messages per second, I believe is what we're able to do. What is that? What is that math going to be in milliseconds? We can sleep for like 10 milliseconds. 10 is 100. Okay, so perfect. So we can sleep for 10 milliseconds between them. So then it will go again and just send all of the messages. Oh wait, no, I don't want this in here. It'll send all the messages that have queued up between 10 milliseconds, and then it will sleep for 10 milliseconds and loop again. Okay, so I think that's our spawn WebSocket sender thread. So we're going to move in the WebSocket RX, and we're going to move in the chatbot RX. So coming back up to here, we now need to create a new channel. Isn't necessarily throttling to 100 messages. I know it's not really truly throttling, and I might get more messages. It's just more of I need some arbitrary number to give here to sleep it so that the thread isn't just 100% running. Because otherwise this will just sit there and just run infinite loop. I want it to sleep whenever it doesn't have a message. You have more than one CPU core, right? Yeah, I do, but I also don't want it to run. Are they hardware threads anyway? They're just OS threads, aren't they? Well, so I'm not exactly sure how. In a Linux system, they're going to use pthreads. Pthreads is set by the operating system, but the operating system on Linux is usually really smart and can choose hardware or software threads, depending upon whether or not they're available. Windows, I have no clue how it works. So I'm just doing this because I feel that it's the right way to do it, but I have no idea if this is the best practice. Okay, so when I have that, now I want to recreate and do this again, which is getting MPSC channel. So creating a new channel with TX and RX. So in chatbot, MPSC. Yeah, so we just need to get MPSC again. Maybe, but it's not going to smartly lock up an entire hardware thread to run your message loop if other steeps. I guess that might be true. We can, so you know what? Let's try this. We'll comment this out, and I will run top on this to see what's happening. We'll see whether or not it's taking over. So Okay, so MPSE channel. Here we are in chatbot. We don't have MPSE in here, so we need to grab that too. Use standard sync MPSE. In function run, spawn the thread. So first we need, let, and it's going to be the Websocket. No, not Websocket. It's gonna be chatbot. Which one's first? TX then RX. So TX chatbot RX, and this is going to be equal to MPSE channel. So now we have access to the chatbot TX and the chatbot RX. We're gonna pass. Now we're gonna initialize. So we don't need to return anything. So we need to just call spawn WebSocket. So spawn. What are you unhappy about? Type annotations needed. Really? Type annotations are not needed on this side. Maybe it's once I use it, it will figure out what types they're going to be. Okay, so spawn WebSocket sender thread. This takes in the WebSocket RX, and the chatbot RX, and does not return anything. So once I have that, then the chatbot TX down here, that's when we send. So now we're going to say chatbot TX dot send. It's going to be the response, and we're going to expect unable to send chat message to thread. Yes, if I typed response properly, it might work. Well, I didn't mean to bother. I don't mean don't bother sleeping. I just mean it's not really a CPU thread capacity concern. Usually can just sleep 0 for this sort of thing to let the threading. Oh, sleep 0 would work. Interesting. Because it's sleeping, it might. Okay, that's actually a good idea. Let's sleep 0. Use of move value chatbot RX. I want value moved here in a previous iteration of the loop. Okay, so I have to clone it first, or can I use a reference of it? Okay, so we'll use a reference of that. No red squiggly lines. You are still upset about random stuff that doesn't make sense. Okay, so everything's saved. Let's try it. Cargo run. Compiling. Running. Did you do the ping too early? I couldn't tell. Hey, look, ping! And we got a pong. Okay, if we come over to here and we hit refresh, I refreshed the friggin' chat again. Okay, so we got our hello from the server. And server got message, hello from server. The real question is going to be, are we going to get the messages up here appropriately? Interesting, take a look. We have this ping and pong. Then the WebSocket spawning happened afterwards. Hey, look, we're getting them. We're getting them. Okay, so that entire system worked. Let's go over what we did really quickly, because this is great. Okay, so what we did is check top. Oh, check top. We want to check to see what's going on here. Let's try it. GNOME terminal, where's our... GNOME shell, I guess, is what it is. %, 71%. Wouldn't be GNOME shell. Where GNOME terminal? Maybe that's it? I don't think it's going to be the name of the actual thing because I haven't registered it as a binary. There's probably my GNOME terminal. Web content. Oh, the file. Do you notice that? That showed up here. Firefox. So if we're taking a look, CPU, GNOME shell is using a lot. That's going up and down. We're not seeing anything crazy from anything else. Web content, whatever that is. And GNOME terminal every once in a while. Firefox gets up to 1%. Now this is CPU across all of the CPUs. So it doesn't seem to be too bad. I think it's properly nicing it to not just take over, and then sleeping it when it's really not doing anything properly. Also, the fans on this computer haven't gone crazy, so that's also a really good sign. All right, so if we come back to here, everything is working the way we want it to work. So let's go over really quickly what we did. We basically decided, okay, we have to wait for things, and the best way to like sort of have asynchronous time programming is a thread in this case. So we are able to say, okay, if we're going to have a thread, we need a way to send a message to that thread. Now we already have a TX and RX from the chatbot, but they're typed, and so those types were the WebSocket type. We need to be able to just send the strings that we're getting. So we create a new channel for sending messages, and we name those chatbot TX and chatbot RX for the transmit and receive. Okay, then we call the function that spawns this thread. It's not going to return anything, and we pass it in the receiver for the WebSocket and the chatbot receiver. Since it only needs to ever receive, it's never going to send. So then everything else is going to be exactly the same. Now down at the bottom here, whenever we receive a message, we go through all of our bot commands. So if the command is a ping, then we receive the pong. If it's the rustbook command, it does that. But if it doesn't match any of these at all, then we create a special response that we're going to send back. So it's going to be JSON data. And we then, chatbot, send this to the thread. So we send it to the channel. And if it's unable, like if the thread crashes for some reason and it's not going to be listening anymore, we're going to get this error out of it, printed to standard out, I believe. No, standard error. Now, this function, spawn WebSocket sender thread, we already saw it's going to take in the WebSocket RX, which is a type of receiver that the receiver takes in WebSockets. That's the reason why we couldn't have both. Chatbox RX receiver takes in type string. So in here, the only thing we do is we spawn a new thread. We run the closure. We pass it in the closure, which is going to move these and consume these variables inside of it. The first thing we do is we use the blocking recv that's basically going to grab the WebSocket in. Now, once we have that in, we can begin an infinite loop. That inside of the infinite loop, every 0 milliseconds, it's going to loop through any of the chatbot messages that we've received and then send those to the WebSocket. The WebSocket will then send those out, and that's how everything's working. Oh, it feels nice to get working proper. So let's go ahead and there's not really any testing I know how to do with this. So in this case, I'm going to go ahead and let's send this on up to GitHub first. The only change we made here is we just took out, we added all the stuff. So everything working with threads now. Okay. I'm not going to publish this branch. Instead, I'm going to come down and merge this. So git checkout master and then git merge async for WebSocket, and that gives us a couple of commits. We're going to push them up to GitHub. Now, this hasn't changed like one of the major problems that we have, which is we need to figure out how to properly, I guess it's not really a major problem. I'm able to share the token between this computer and my Windows computer. So I have this in my .zshrc file. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to take a quick break to be able to send that over to the Windows computer behind a privacy screen, and then make sure we're going to get that up and running over here on this computer. But also I want a chance to stretch my legs because it's been an hour and a half. I've been sitting for a really long time. I highly recommend everybody else do that too. So let's take a 5+ minute break. I'll chat when I'm back and running this, and we'll do that. So let's put on the nice quick break screen. All right, everybody, I'm gonna go up, stretch a little bit, and I'll be back in a few minutes. All right, I'm back. Although there's some blending going on upstairs, so that might be a little bit noisy. All right, so while I have this quick break screen on, and since I didn't create something that shows off that I'm protecting my screen, I'm going to go ahead and just leave that up while I transfer over this key. So it's m.dsh. Copy that. And open up you. It might be a really interesting project to make, is like a private, like a secure message sender for people on the same network. I know there's a few different options to do that. But that might be a little fun little thing to do, which is I pull up like an encryption crate, encrypt a message using a key, and then send it over to somebody else, which also has the private key. We could use even GPG maybe for that. I don't know. That would be pretty interesting. Okay, so with you, your side. Okay, opened you up over there. Sending, and immediately quitting that. Okay. Then on this side, working around the microphone is kind of fun. Copy you. Oh, I quit out of the system preferences, so we need to open that up again. And what is it? env, our edit environment variables. Of course, opened it up underneath everything else because why not? And paste up. Don't want to paste that in. Okay. So hit OK and OK. I want to close this other PowerShell window and open it up again. Okay, CD to downloads, the Rusty chatbot server and the Rusty chatbot server. And I think it's running. It's hard to tell because it's there's no feedback. Let's try sending a ping. No, it didn't work. Okay, let me have that Vim up. Let's make sure that I got everything exactly correct. Oh, you know what I didn't do? I completely forgot. So I may have set up the keys correctly. All right, not showing anything on this screen. Let's go ahead and bring it back to Linux Dev. And I want to delete this message. Delete. Okay. Get out of view. All right. Back to Linux Dev. Okay, so what I didn't do That includes the radio play portion of the stream. Yeah, I know. It'd be like, okay, we're gonna do a podcast, and I'm just gonna develop, and you're gonna listen to me develop. I forgot to rebuild this, so it won't matter if I don't compile a new binary with all these code changes that we did. So we need to do cargo build. Oh, this is the wrong one. So cargo build, we want the release version of it. So this may take a little bit of time. It should have already compiled everything for it, so it shouldn't be too much time to do it. But the release, okay, yeah, 17 seconds. That's not terrible for a release. And if we take a look, what that really? Oh wait, hold on. One more command is we have to have the copy command. So that's the debug. We want the copy, this one. Copy target release Rusty chatbot server into here. That brings in the new version of the Rusty chatbot server. And compiled release version for Windows. And we'll send this on up. Waiting. We knew, like, Git seems to be really slow on this computer for some reason. Okay, so over on my Windows developer side, you should really just start doing tags or something. Yeah, tags is I haven't used tags before. That might be fun to, like, sort of learn and see what I'm gonna do. Okay, so let's do a git pull. So we've got, what did we get? The Rusty chatbot server. So now we run this Rusty chatbot server. Is it working? It's kind of hard to tell. So let's do a ping. And we got a pong. We got a chatbot server. Okay, so our chatbot server is running correctly over on Windows here. We see this this ping and a pong. And the thing is, it's not going to send. I guess it's gonna try to send up to it. Well, that will be interesting. So there are no clients right now. So we can send messages, and it will wait until we have something running. But we don't have a yeah, we don't have anything right here for this. Now I'm on the local network here, so I'm actually curious. I'm gonna transition back to Linux dev. I want to see if I can find my check the task manager's process list. Okay, task manager. Oh, weird. More details? Oh, there it is. Okay, I was getting a little bit weirded out. Okay, so let me show you. I need to transition back. I pulled in task manager, and this is all I saw. I was like, wait, what? That's wrong. Okay, so one of the Windows PowerShells. So Windows PowerShell, they're both taking up 0% CPU. Not too much memory, but that's a decent amount of memory, I guess. Okay. They're both taking up around the same amount of memory. And so one of them is running the actix-web server that is running the like the quick break and the other things, and the other one here. So can I tell Twitch overlay Rust? Okay, so this is the Rusty chatbot server. And we can see it's 0%. It's running. Okay, PowerShell itself is running 26.9 megabytes of memory. The Rusty chatbot server is running 1.9 megabytes of memory. And that's it. It's almost nothing else. Just because if we might be curious, Twitch overlay, that actix-web server with like very few, like very, very bare bones, is 3 megabytes of memory. So not big at all. So that's pretty good. So it looks like it's properly setting it up for us, and we can see. Notice that these messages haven't been sent. So I'm hoping. Let me take a look at the code really quickly. Uh-oh. The ping stopped working. Did it crash? No, it's still running. We got one ping and a pong. Okay, so we spawned. That is interesting. You must have made a deadlock just later in the code. Oh no, we probably did. Okay, let's go ahead and transition back over here. I'm going to also close and quit that code. Oh, when I did, okay. So I just did a Control-C and I got all the messages. Just came out. It flushed on quit. Yeah. But it didn't quit the application. Control-C quit something else, and now it's working again. I have to Control-C again to get it working. So like I just did Control-C once. So what did I quit? Did that quit the thread? It's still saying that it's sending message to WebSocket. If I quit the thread, it would have that should have caused a panic. Something happened. I'm not exactly sure where that would be, or how to debug that one. Let's try this. Let's bring this back over to the screen. So Control-C again, quit that out. We're on Linux side. Let's go ahead and run the web server here. So cargo run. Not a web server, the chatbot. Okay, so everything should be running. If we do a hello, we get hello sending message to WebSocket. If we do a ping, that just works. It's technically a chatbot with a web server. I mean, yeah, it's a WebSocket server. Okay, so this is just all working. If we come over to here, this hasn't updated, so it's lost its WebSocket. If I hit refresh, oh look, see it sent all the stuff that was in the queue. Ping came again. So I don't actually know what happened. Like it looked like a deadlock, but something like took over on the Windows PowerShell side. It's easy for me to say like, well, it's working now, and I don't see a deadlock now. I don't even know how to recreate that. I guess we'll just have to play around with it and see what happens. Okay, so if that's still working, also fun things, I believe I could probably launch this twice and we'll get double responses. Because of reasons. If I launch this again right here, yeah, it's just running now. If I say command ping, I'm sure Twitch will kick one of them out. Maybe not. Nope, it won't. Instead, what will happen is I have a double chance of running into that limit. So you will get kicked out. Play a game of ping pong, you serve a ball and get 2 back. Yeah. Okay, so I want to check on my Windows side what the local IP address is for on the local network. I want to see whether or not I can, there it is, network and internet. Whether or not I can connect to the WebSocket server on this system, so that way I could just have the bot running over there, and then we can develop the front end over on this side. So we're connected on Ethernet on the desktop. Okay, so let's go ahead and open Vim, this index.html. So okay, we're connected to localhost right here. We really want to be connected to, this is going to be 92.168.1.10. I probably am going to have a firewall issue here. Leaked. Yep, you now have my totally private IP address. All right, so if I reopen this, yeah, it's unable to connect. So it's unable to get through to the through the router over to this system. So there's a couple choices that I have. I can set this up as, yeah, Firefox cannot establish a connection to the server at this WebSocket. And I'm wondering what's the best way, I guess, can I open up a configure firewall and security settings? Do you? No, I clicked on you. You didn't do anything. Settings, yes. Be careful of that through hand motion you just did. I shouldn't have multiple subnets. Well, so this is Wi-Fi. and this is wired. So I bet that it's on Netgear might be giving me a different thing. That's probably gonna have to, yeah. So I bet Netgear is not letting him transfer. I've got the wireless. I probably do. I don't have another cable available to me to like put this on the network because I don't have an Ethernet cable connected to this guy. I would need to unplug something for that. I think, or yeah, no, it definitely is. So I'm thinking that, well, I don't want to do this development on the Windows system because that's really annoying. So I'm thinking the best thing to do would be just to bite the bullet and not run it on this system over here, the Windows system. So I'm thinking we'll just have the WebSocket server. It'll connect to localhost because that's kind of like how I want it to be in the end anyways. And then I will just push that up to GitHub, pull that down over here, and then then everything should just be fine at that point in time. So let's go ahead and cancel you over here on Windows, and we'll pull you up over here. Launch you again. Okay, so I won't have necessarily anything to change up here unless we want to change like the commands, but that's not our primary goal right now. Our new goal, and I think I'm going to do this until 10 a.m. And then I'll stop. Is I don't need you open anymore. Ping and then Pong is working again. Also, we can set this up, but now what I want to do is let's actually go back into actix-x and create another sort of, what is it? Another route for that. So I think camel and a hat with the server bound to, if the server is bound to localhost, then you only accept from that instead of the network IP. It is bound to localhost. Do I have to bind it to like 0000? That might be what I have to do. I could try that. Yep, or I could bind it to like its own IP address, or the 192x. I think it might be better just to bind it to 0000. That would be the WebSocket here. Oh, it's actually in main. So if we bind you to 0.0.0.0, save you. I thought localhost was more permissive in terms of cores. It probably is, but let's find out if this runs. So cargo run. This should work, at least on this system. Then we have to recompile, push it over to Windows, and try it again. Hope you have port 80 blocked from your WAN. I hope so too. That might be. It's not necessarily the best thing to check while I'm streaming. So I think it's not running 80, so that's no problem. Yeah, it's port 3002. Yeah, I think we should be fine. So this is still working there. If I connect in to this, what did I need Vim HTML and change this back to localhost. Save that, come over here, hit refresh. Okay, so that's all working. Most routers have NAT blocking. I set this up a while ago, and so I can't remember exactly what I set up with it. So it should be fine. Let's go ahead and come back to here, close this off, and we'll recompile. So cargo build. It should work from the 192 168 now. Yeah, so we'll rebuild this. Finished, we'll do the copy. It's just a teeny tiny exe. Copy this in. Changed from Websockets on localhost to 0.0.0.0. And we'll push that up. Over here, I want you closed. And you can be closed. Everything else should be good. You change the WebSocket client back to localhost. Well, yeah, that won't. I'll have to change that back, but I want to get the server up and running first. So here. So we're gonna do a get pull. And Rusty chatbot server. Aha, so this time it's asking me, do I want to allow this out? So private networks such as my home or work network, let's allow access for this. So now that's running. Over here on this side, oh, sorry about that. I talked too close. Talk about Peak Mountain. Sorry about that. I'm gonna have to get used to that. How long can I stand, by the way? Stream? Oh, I'm not standing. I'm sitting. Let's do. Actually, I could just undo. I do want to get a standing desk. I think that would be really nice. Okay, so you won't stand for this, Danny. I heard that you sometimes do chores around the house, so that you are standing for this. Sorry about that. Okay, so we saved that over there. Hello from the server. So we'll transition back. Here we go. So we have now messages over here from the server that's running over there. So we can now develop and play around with this. So if we do a ping, it's still working. And if we do a hello, we're getting the messages over here. So perfect. Now, what is cool beans? Cool beans. Let's go ahead and open up a new tab. CD. Okay, so documents, projects, mine. Let's go into our Twitch overlay. So, why are your beans cool? Okay, so we just want to open up code here. Okay, so here is our actix-web server. So this is a really interesting system. Right now we have this app new handler static / break and stream ending. So we just want to add a new one here. Dot resource. The path is going to be Chat probably, or maybe just like pure general overlay. So yeah, this is going to be just our general overlay. So overlay, and our function, so it takes in R, and then we run r.f on it, and this is going to be a general overlay. Of course, general overlay doesn't exist yet, so we're going to run that. Function general overlay. This takes in the HTTP request. Again, we're not really going to care about this, so rec, it's a reference to HTTP request, and we're going to return an HTTP response. Said general, now I really want Chinese for lunch. There's so much more to Chinese food. Okay, so general overlay, there's rec response. So then we're going to return this HTTP response. Okay. Dot body include string, which is a macro that's then going to allow us to grab in from static general overlay .html. Couldn't find that file. That's fine. So over here in static, and create a new file, and we'll call this general overlay.html. And so we've already played around with CSS and SVG being available on slash. I'm still amazed RLS can tell you if a macro file exists or not. That's pretty nice when it does that. Also save this. You should find the file now. Find the file now. Okay, out. So /static GENERAL_overlay.html. Okay, so it couldn't find it. Yeah, less amazed now. That's pretty much my response to RLS is like, it's so cool. It's now just broken and doesn't work. Okay, so let's open up. We'll create an HTML template. Title is going to be the Rick Zerker page overlay. Stream overlay. This should all be fine. We're probably definitely going to want a style sheet of some kind. So because of that, I'm going to want to create a new folder in here. A new folder, we're going to call this general overlay. And I'm going to put in all the assets for the general overlay in here. So inside of this, our link, so type media href is going to be main.css. Well, I'm actually going to call this /static / general overlay / well, okay. General overlay.css. Script source, any JavaScript, we're going to want to do the exact same thing here. Copy into that. All right, and that'll be JavaScript in there. And then we can have an h1, and we'll just say hello world to begin with, just to make sure this is all running. And now we get to do the fun cargo run. This actix-x has a huge compile time. The what was it? It was like 30 seconds or so every time we recompile. And we have to recompile every time we change the HTML. Because it's like storing that inside of the binaries and then sending it up. So that was 20.98 seconds. Let's now, so we're running, so we can now go onto localhost 3001, and here's our starting soon, and we want to go to slash general overlay. Is that what I called it? Oh, just overlay, slash overlay. And here's our hello world. Okay, so loading failed for the script with source HTTP localhost 3001 static general overlay.js. So it couldn't find that. So let's go ahead and create that file. So in static, in general overlay, I'm going to create a new file called general overlay.js. And we're also going to want to create a general overlay.css. All right, so the errors go away. We can do a lot of stuff without having to recompile or restart the server. For example, any of these static files in here we can update. So in general overlay, we just want to start with a console.log. I am working. Refresh, and there it goes. I am working. Okay, so I'm pretty sure that include string is just a hack anyway. I think they forgot to generic check over it. Oh, that's too bad. So first things first, we're gonna want to set up the WebSocket connection to localhost, and then go ahead and get that working. I don't care. That's fine. So we can start with const web. So socket URL is going to be, well, so I want to say localhost, but the thing is, it's going to be different, isn't it? It's going to be different depending on whether or not it's running over here or over here. I'm pretty sure that includes dir. Oh wait, I thought I saw a new chat message come in, but I guess not. Okay, so socket URL. Over on this side, I am definitely going to want to have this be on localhost. So that's going to be a little bit weird that I'm going to have to change this, because for right now we're going to have to say 192.168.10.0. You could do a DNS, a dying DNS type thing. Set up a damn DNS server and stop being lazy. No, I refuse to set up a DNS server. That would be so much more work to do. A dying DNS type thing. I could. How much trouble would my computer be in if I set up a forwarder My router has automatic DNS features in it. Yes, but if I go to localhost, that's not going to go to the router. That's going to go to this computer. I would need to set up this computer to be a DNS server to check for localhost and then forward that on. That would be really bad. So I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to set this up and we're going to change it over for there. Local DNS isn't that hard. Just buy a damn Pi. I guess I could do that. I don't want to though. I want to use Pis for other things. And especially just for this. Maybe if I started doing lots of other things, then we can talk about it. Okay, so let's start with socket URL equals to this. Const our socket. So socket made Michigan cherry pie last night. It was very tasty. It probably didn't have all the circuit boards on it. Okay, so const socket equals new web socket. That's going to take in the URL, so that's going to be socket URL. Protocols we're not going to care about. I don't want to use semicolons because that will help me keep separated where I am, what code I'm working on. Okay, so then we want to socket dot add event listener. So our add event listener type close error message open. Let's see. I want this to be message. Then it's going to be, okay, the listener. This.WebSocket. So this is going to be the WebSocket. The EV, so the second thing will be the message event, the event. Okay, so it's going to be the event. And I don't think I need any options for this. So let's just console.log the event.data. If I remember correctly, this is, if we just run this on its own, hit refresh. Oh, wrong one to refresh. An invalid or an illegal string was specified. Where? Oh, why are you, socket URL should be a string, right? All right, I need to go take a look. What did I do over here? I did new WebSocket. Oh, it's ws:// That's what it is. So it's ws:// :3002. This one, hit refresh, console. Okay, so I think everything is running now. If we get another chat message, it should show up here. Oh no, it didn't show up there. Firefox cannot establish a connection to 192.168. Oh wait, it's not 0, I bet. It's 110. That's the problem. Wrong IP address. 1.10. All right. Now, if we get a chat message, we should get it output here. All right. Somebody send me a message. Oh man. Circuit board cake. Well, that would have been a good message to show up, but it still didn't work here for us. So we have our message here. Why aren't you showing up? What did I do wrong? The con socket equals new WebSocket. ws://192.168. Okay, I almost want to just take this, copy it, paste it in here. This is just the JavaScript, so we don't need to update it. We're not even getting any errors in here. So let's take a look. So socket URL is this thing. That's literally exactly the same. So that's our socket URL. Const socket equals new WebSocket, this URL. So that should be good. Then we have this add event listener open, socket send JSON stringify, hello from server. So that actually should be fine. We can leave this. And then we have this add event listener. So I got that add event listener. It's a message. Oh, it needs to be a function, doesn't it? Because this is being changed. And we want this to be changed. So if we just remove you, we remove some semicolons. Okay, so we're going to console log the event.data that we get in. We're going to JSON.parse that, and then console log the message from the server. Okay, we do that. Save this. Try again. Okay, so we got the message from the server. So now we should get everything else too. Not sure yet, but talking about food. Gotta go. Great stream. Thank you, Miguel. The new Lay's bacon wrapped jalapeno popper chips. I've not tried those. Elephanten. I don't know that. Also, none of those messages came in. So we got these. We got certain messages, but not the other messages. Let's go. I want to check. Okay, now sending message to WebSocket. So it claims it's sending a message to the next socket. It's just not getting to this WebSocket. If I hit refresh, nothing at all. Yay! It's saved here. What happens if I just completely copy you? Save that. Hit refresh. Nothing at all. It's not hitting that. All right, let me try restarting the server over here, the WebSocket server. Oh, it had that weird problem again where I had to control C it. So there's that weird deadlock over on the Windows side. That's a bit odd and disconcerting. Okay, so server got message. If I hit refresh again, hello from server. Let's try ping. That's working still. And hello. Sending message to WebSocket did not get over here. Hit refresh. Hello from the server. If I control C. Oh, that actually just quit out of the entire server thing. Windows and Linux have two different ways of applying lock, so it could really be a Windows problem only. I'm thinking that might be what it is. Because if I sit here and I have a hello from the server, I'm starting to think that maybe I should probably just run this out of Docker, or instead of doing like a DNS thing and running the WebSocket server over here on the Windows system, I could just get a Raspberry Pi and run it off of that. That might be a fun project to do. But until then, I think I'm gonna quit out of here. We're gonna go back to running the WebSocket server off of this computer. So cargo run. We're going to come back over to here. So our const socket equals, this is going to be localhost again. 3002. Hello from the server. So front end starting up, and message from the server. So if I front end starting up, message from the server, front end starting up. Perfect. And if we get any other messages now, everything should be good, right? Hello. We get hello. So perfect. We don't have to work. We don't want to have any other weirdness going on. Okay, so with this overlay, the idea is that every single time I get one of these objects, well, if Miguel watches the VOD, you could say bye to him through the VOD in the chat. I'm probably going to want it over here. We're going to create the chat that's going to like create an item right here. So let's now set that up so it adds in these things over here. So in HTML, in the general overlay, we're going to want to create a so if we use the flexbox, if we use flexbox to style this, we're going to want it to be right aligned. So that means we're going to want a parent and then the children div items. So I could really just call these, this is going to be the section and class equals chat. In the section for that, we'll inject these in through through JavaScript. This will be an empty tag here. So let's just start injecting that in right now. So in general overlay here, we're going to take these messages, const message, and remove you. We're going to keep the console login here to make it easier to see what it is. And we're just going to pass in to, all right, how do I want to do this? I'm going to want to generate the message, generate HTML, generate tags. well, I guess it's just gonna be tag. Generate the tag, and we're gonna pass in the message. Then after we get the message back, we're gonna want to inject that into the DOM. So then we freebasing using JavaScript. Have we hit rock bottom yet? No, there's way more down we can go. Inject into DOM. Okay, so we should just be able to do that. This, by the way, is a special promise pattern that I learned recently called river pattern, which is we're going to be using promises even though there's nothing asynchronous about this code we're doing. It's just going to make it easy. Like, we don't have to like say const message equals generate tag. It's going to pass in on its own. Okay, so in here we'll have a function called generate tag. This is going to take in a message. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to return a promise dot resolve, and promise dot resolve. Oh, how does that? Without comes up with these names. This is a river promise. Don't confuse it with a rainbow promise. Dan Levy came up with these this one, and he came up with it and he wrote about it and called Escape Callback Mountain, I think is what the article that he wrote for it. He also has a library, a functional promises library, which is really good, and I haven't really used it too much. But okay, so return promise to resolve. I can't remember. Is this a callback function? Resolve value t promise value promise t. Oh, I forget how to use promise resolve. I'll have to look it up. JS promise dot resolve. Where promise equals promise.resolve. Oh, so whatever is being returned in here. So promise then function value. Okay, so what I can do is just take in the message, and we're then going to just deal with it. Okay, so fun thing with this message, we're getting in the nickname, the message, and the nickname. So I can actually destructure right in here. We're going to take in the nickname and the message. So now these are separate variables for me to use. So I'll resolve the actual tags that we get from here in a second. So until then, let's go ahead and create the tag that we're going to want to use. So resolve takes a value and returns a promise that will invoke .then. Perfect. Okay, so we're taking in nickname and the message, and we want to create a div that's going to hold like who said it and then the message. So const our overall div, so like our container, we can call this container, is going to equal document dot create element, and that's going to be a div. Okay, so that's going to create the general element. We also want the title of that in there. So is that going to be another div, or I guess there's no title. We could put a header for it. We do header. Const container. No, header equals document dot create element this is going to be a header and const the actual message. Oh, I can't take a class. The main section of it. I don't want to use main, like overuse it. There's the div, there's the header, content, body. I can't use body. I'll do content. So content equals document dot create element. And this is really just going to be another, well, this could be a p tag because it's a paragraph of text. So it could just be the text. Okay, so then we want to now inject in what is the inner text. So the header dot, what is it going to be? Is it just text or inner text? There's so many methods to call on these. Text node, tag name, not title, text content. Text content equals the nickname, and the text dot text content is going to be equal to the message. Then we want to inject in to the container. So container dot append child. So the first thing we want to append is this is a function, right? Yeah, new child node. So this is header and container dot append child the text. Then we need, so this is gonna append, this function is gonna be called a lot, so it's probably best to create a just a global up here. A const, the sort of like the main section of the body, where section class chat. So const chat div is going to be equal to document dot query selector, and we're going to give this to dot chat. Okay, then we can use this. So in chat div dot append child, and it's going to be the container. Okay, actually, you know what? This is the thing. This is generate the tag for the message. I did all, unfortunately, in generate tag. So I wanted to, hold on, we need to fix this. So in message, we have the container, the header, and the text. We put all of that into container. So here we want to then say, okay, return promise dot resolve, and we're going to pass it in the container. All right, then we have the inject into DOM. So function inject into DOM. This is gonna take a tag, and we want to take chat div dot append child the tag. All right, let's see if this works. Refresh here. Front end starting up. Let's do a hello. Nothing appeared. And it didn't appear here either. So that didn't work the way I wanted it to, unfortunately. Yeah, unless it's like for some reason not displaying anywhere. No, and I'm not getting any error messages either, I don't think. Nothing. No error messages whatsoever. If we take a look, the code is updated. So my hope for like everything just working right away without any problems whatsoever did not happen. Let's try this. So in our return promise, let's put in a breakpoint there. Do a low. Oh, it didn't break here. It didn't pause. Okay. Did something, do I have to restart the, did I update you? General overlay has been updated, but I don't know if I updated this. I may have. So I have to restart. Oh, wrong one. Not the Rusty chatbot server. I have to restart you. Okay, so once we get the web server up and running. Okay. I keep on refreshing the wrong page. That's why I need to get this working. Okay, interesting. Ignoring get or set a property that has lenient this because the this object is incorrect. Okay. Ignoring get. Return promise.resolve. What is the container? The container is a DOM element. If we hit play, we have lots of these. If I remove you, it's not going anywhere in here though. We do get these messages from the server, but it is definitely unhappy. If we do our hello again, well, that was weird. It put all of these things in here. They're not displaying anywhere in here. So that's not good. Okay, so I tried to be too tricky, and now it's upset with me. So this append child isn't what I want it to be. Actually, you know what? Maybe it is appending. Let's take a look at the inspector. Intersection class. Yeah, nothing is in this section. So the append didn't work. Let's just do this manually and make sure we get it right. So we have what did I call it? We have chat div. Chat div is null. Okay, so that's not a good sign. Document dot query selector dot chat is, oh, it works. Hold on. I put in, so the script is at the top of the page. The script being at the top of the page is a problem here. We need to put it down here below everything else. The reason for that is because it's running the script before the DOM is loaded, which means, of course, that this doesn't exist at the time that I try to get the element. So it like does all of that stuff, but there's nothing for it to inject into. And because it's JavaScript, JavaScript is the nicest language in the world. And by nice, I don't mean that it's nice from our perspective. I mean that it's trying to be nice to us. Because of that, it is it won't actually tell us anything's wrong. It'll just let us do it and twiddle its thumbs. All right, so let's recompile that because we changed the HTML. Let's go ahead and rerun this. Look at that, front end starting up appeared right there. So it is working. It just wasn't showing it. So we're getting the front end starting up. Well, that's okay. So we got the front end starting up, and that displayed in here. Nobody else's message are appearing right now, though. That's not a good sign. Are we getting this? Your part was just a long deep note, sending a message to Websocket. So that's good. It's still sending it according to the Websocket server. Let's put in this JavaScript. These might not be correct. Let's take a look at the inspector and see what we got going on. We just have the first thing. So the front end starting up. So on open, we send a message, front end starting up. We get that in here. Const message equals JSON.parse. Console log message from the server. We then generate the tag, pass it this message, and then inject into DOM. Is it running these functions only once? Just on front end starting up. This WebSocket should be running forever. Is it still running? Type WebSocket? Does the network dev tools tab still not show WebSocket message? I can't tell. If I come to WebSocket, here this is. Well, but that's, so it's a request URL to HTTP localhost 3002. Upgrade WebSocket. Of course, I can't see the response. That's the handshake, yeah. That's what I'm getting here. The console is message from server, front end starting up, but absolutely nothing after that. So this code broke that. If I comment you out and reload you, we get the front end starting up. If we do our a message again, so message, no, nothing here. But our WebSocket server sending message to WebSocket. So why are you suddenly upset at me? Okay, so if we comment all of this nice code that I wrote, we basically have the original code still. Take you out to. Hit refresh. So we're getting this front end starting up. Everything else should be fine. I need like a list of, I can confirm the network tab only shows the handshake and doesn't show any messages after that, which seems crazy to me, which would be nice. Also, this isn't sending messages anymore. Okay, so this is the new stuff. I'm not paused. Why are you not working? We're in localhost 3001 overlay. The server is running. I shouldn't need to restart the server. WebSocket server is doing this thing. Okay, let's try restarting WebSocket server. Oh, you know what? I just realized the problem is, well, the problem might be. Let me try this. Can you refresh over here? Front end starting up. Will we get new messages? So, hi. Now we're getting messages. Okay. So, this is a problem with our WebSocket server. So we're not deadlocked. We did something silly / not silly necessarily. Every single time, let's open up this code. Rusty chatbot server in here. For our WebSocket, when we create this and we send out the WebSocket itself and then send that out, it's for the first time that we connect. Now every time that we connect a new one, it runs this code again, which will then TX send this out. But in the chatbot, we're only getting the first time that WebSocket gets received. We're not ever like resetting that. Chrome shows every single WebSocket like message that comes in their dev tools. That's actually really nice. So the problem is that I need to restart the server every time I restart the client because of reasons. Or I need to go and change this. So I'm like, okay, well, the loop, I need to basically loop through the messages in WebSocket, web chat. But if we get a new WebSocket, we need to then also like go through that too. We need to replace the WebSocket. Okay, so how would I want to do that? You know, it's really going to be more of, I could create a let sockets might need to shadow the on close. Well, yeah, I may need to shadow the on close. I think and like close it out, but it doesn't change the fact that a new one will come in here and it will be it should be recv'd. I need to get it again, so I need to loop through this and grab it and grab the next one that comes in. So I almost want to say let mutable WebSocket and just hold it in here. And then in this forever loop, we need to check to see if there is a rec v. Rather, just do another for loop in here. So hold on, bring that out here. We'll do another for socket in so for socket in WebSocket RX. WebSocket equals socket. That's just if the WebSocket, if a new WebSocket comes in. If one doesn't come in, this for loop shouldn't run because there will be no WebSockets to loop through. If I do that, will everything still work? Cargo run here. You moved here in previous iteration of the loop. Oh, reference to it. Do we have an on open? Good question. Our handler, we have an on message. That's it. Implement handler for server. We just have an on message. Use of possibly uninitialized variable WebSocket. Yeah. Right, because this. Oh, you know what? We can set. Hold on. We can do this right away. We can set mutable WebSocket equals this. Get the first one out. But then if any new ones come in, it replaces WebSocket with this socket. Use a moved value for socket in WebSocket. Oh, wait, I need to reference that again. Okay, so it's running. I hit refresh. Oh, refresh. The front end starting up. Front end starting up. And then I want to see if we get these. So hello again. Oh no, so it didn't work. Sending a message to WebSocket, but this isn't working now. So if I send multiple things, so I broke it completely. Right, I'm gonna have to think about ways of structuring this better. Otherwise, when it's closed, it's not really sending out. So I'm gonna need like a vector of all possible sockets. WS does have an OP open. Actually, can I switch this to broadcast? Because if it's open like that, can I in WebSocket, instead of just saying out.send, self.out.broadcast, and then we'll send the message. So if I do that, and we undo all of this horribleness, all right, so you're back to how you were. cargo run there. You're running, refresh you. Front end starting up. Can I say hello again? We get the hello message. If I refresh this page and do hello again, I get hello again. So that might have been the answer to it. Heck, if I just go into localhost :3001/overlay, are we both gonna get the answers? Like both gonna get the things. So if I do hi, we get hi here and hi here. Okay, so that was the answer. We just use broadcast instead of out. So when that one gets closed, it still has the ability to broadcast out. Now there is a minor issue, is that it's going to keep it never actually truly closes and gets rid of from memory. So as long as I don't give access to everybody to read this, that's fine. Now what I am doing is I reboot my PC, fairly frequently anyways. So it's not really going to be a problem in my case, but this is definitely not going to be something that I can provide and sell out for everybody else. Let's come back and try re-enabling all of this stuff. So we want you back again. We want you back. We want all of you back. Save. And you hit refresh. Front end starting up gets injected. Do we get anything else? So hello. And we get Berserker hello shows up here. So we're now injecting into the DOM here, and we can actually see this. So we have two messages. We have this one is the front end starting up, and this one is the Berserker hello. So any of you who sent a message will now get placed onto the screen here. It's unstyled, so it looks terrible, but it's possible for us. We can make this a little bit bigger for everybody to see. So next steps, what we'll do tomorrow. We're gonna want these to be styled so they look good, and we're also gonna want to animate them in so they don't just appear glaringly. So we want to animate them fading in, and then we want them to stay there for a while. Then we want them to fade out, and then after they fade out, we want them to completely disappear. Now you're gonna make me have to keep up with you. But yeah, we're creating them now. It's, of course, they're staying in forever right now, but we can change that. All right, so let's go ahead and make sure all of our code is up to date and being sent up. So this is our server, our actix-web server. So added an overlay. We added an overlay route and am getting messages on the screen. So we'll send that up to GitHub. All right, what's next? In here's our WebSocket. So we switched from what is it? Switched from using switched from sending to broadcasting. Okay, and we'll send that up to GitHub. So there's some minor issues with this. I have to remember now to constantly send out to recompile these and send them over to that system. So it's not the best. Some kind of automated distribution might be good in this case. right now, I don't. Once I get it set up, we won't have to worry about too much about doing that because I don't expect to like rebuild constantly. The other thing, let's see, what other things would we have to worry about here? I'm thinking, well, can I create, I don't want to create like a single binary for it, but remember in the book they did tell us that there was some way to fear itself. That's always something to be afraid. Okay, so there is the way of putting like multiple projects into a single super mega project. I might want to do that in this case because they are sort of very aligned together. I'll have to think about like how I want to do that. Until then, though, these are all up on GitHub. I'm not going to be running the bot one I'm not streaming for right now, so I'm not just going to worry about that. Until then, I think that'll be it for the day. So let's go ahead and switch over to the ending screen. Thanks everybody for stopping by and watching. This has been super fun getting this entire thing up and working and doing it all. Thank you also everybody for helping out. This is we had some debugging heavy today, but it was good. We got it all working. The WebSockets was a huge thing to get working too, and I'm looking forward to the more front end stuff tomorrow. Okay, I don't have anything else, so you can see all the links and the schedule. Tomorrow and Friday is going to be the last days on the 7 a.m. schedule before I figure out the new schedule from the job next week. So with that, I'll stop talking and I'll just leave this up for a few more minutes, and I'll see you all tomorrow. Have a great rest of your day.